but the bike's so light it boogies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in top gear and I'm just cranking on it. It's giving me what I asked for. There it is, West Palm Beach. So this is Brent from Janus Motorcycles. We just showed up down here in Florida at Burn Up Company down in West Palm Beach. We've got David, the owner, around here. We're gonna go take the Janus Halcyon 250, which is gonna be for sale down here at our first dealership at Burn Up Company in West Palm Beach. This is Janus Halcyon 250 number 785. David, shall we do it? Let's do it, man. I'm
All
excited.
Right. All right, let's hit it.
All right.
So David, what part of town are we in here? We're West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yep, we're in downtown West Palm Beach here.
Got the sunset coming on.
Yep. And we're in the little industrial area that's just off of the main drag here. This whole area is called Nora, North Railroad Ave, and they're gentrifying this whole area residentially and commercially, and it's part of a big project that's been in the works for some time, and we're the first people in the neighborhood. And as they progress, they're going to be ripping up all these roads, making them cobblestone and adding in new sidewalks and things like that. So it's kind of cool to be here at this stage of it.
I shouldn't be surprised at all, but after coming out of Indiana in December and January, I am really impressed with how many motorcycles I see down here.
Yeah, it is really nice to have this accessibility all year long. You know, it's there's so many of our customers that are only down here in the winter. They keep bikes down here and they have another bike up north usually. But I just get to enjoy it all year long. I mean, aside from the really rainy few days we get here and there in the summer, you can usually navigate around those as well. You know, Florida's strange. You can look up at the sky and see where the rain clouds are and just kind of grid around those. I'm not used to that up north. Usually it's either raining everywhere or it's not.
Have you lived outside of Florida then?
Yeah, I was born and raised in suburban New York in Westchester County and moved to Connecticut in my early 20s, and that's where I cut my teeth with motorcycles, and was living there for 5 years before I moved here to Florida, 2012. So
okay,
never looked back. But I get to go up there and visit and enjoy all the seasons. In the summer and fall, I usually get to send a motorcycle up there with our shipper and visit my family and friends and ride around, and it's a really nice experience.
So 10 years down here, almost coming up on it for the anniversary when you moved down here. When did Burn Up Company start for you? What's the history there?
Burn Up Company started in half of my garage when I lived in Connecticut. Just working alone on bikes, finding cheap Craigslist finds, fixing them up, selling whatever parts I didn't use, and trying to create while still being on such a tight budget. And I'd get these things fired up and start racing them up and down the streets. And so yeah, I heard the term burn up for the first time, and it was explained as a slang term for street races in the UK. So
nice.
like we call them street races here, it's called burn ups in the UK. And since I was testing all these bikes on the street, I kind of felt like, you know, I was burning up the street. So the name just kind of stuck with me.
Well, it's a great shop. You got a great team. I'm sure you guys do a lot of sharing of knowledge, very much like we do with our small group of our team at Janus. But we've had a lot of confidence sending people to you to have work done down here, and it's really a pleasure for us to have one of our 2022 model Halcyon 250s for sale down here.
Absolutely. And Florida is one of those places I think people gravitate towards vehicles that move them on an emotional level. I see a lot of that. All different styles of cars. I mean, you've got your hypercars, you've got sick antiques, and the antique category on its own is so diverse. More so here than I think most places in the world.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to have a Janus motorcycle here in front of this demographic, in front of these people that can appreciate this. But I think you guys hit the nail on the head with combining the modern componentry with the retro style. I mean, what year is it has to be like the #1 question for you guys.
Yeah, what year is it? And how much? People are like, all right, let's do it.
Right.
I mean, you had about 12 people come in just in the last hour while I was
Sure.
kind of unloading and getting to know your shop. Clearly there's an interest down here in what you're doing, and the type of appreciation. I mean, people want to have fun on their bikes, and that's different for everybody, and I guess that's all right.
Absolutely. I mean, we're really happy that we get to curate all these different types of people at our shop with all different interests outside of motorcycling, yet we all kind of come together and culminate over this one common denominator. And I think that's just probably the favorite part of my job, is bringing people together, and it seems that we all seem to share the appreciation for the details and the subtleties, and every motorcycle that we have in the shop has some sort of significance, and I think this Janus is no exception. There's nothing out there like this. And the rideability here, to be able to take this thing on, this is probably the roughest road around here, and to be able to comfortably ride this through every single pothole is really quite amazing.
So how does it feel? This is your first time on a Janus, is that right?
This is my first time on the latest generation Janus.
Nice.
I believe the first Janus I ever rode had to be one of the earliest production. It had significantly different gauges. The front suspension did not feel as stable as this. This one sounds a lot deeper and throatier with this muffler. I don't think this muffler was available back then.
Yeah, the fishtail exhaust is something we've done the last couple of years, and it's been a big hit. Definitely changed the sound, a little throatier.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get you on a 450 though as well. One of the things about riding a 450 is just the sound is something else.
Yeah, I'm really excited to ride one of those too. I'm hoping you guys can get one down here. I think that would be well received here. I just think the whole vintage motorcycle scene here in Florida is really strong. It seems like it was hotter in some other areas of the country and then cooled off, and a lot of people have kind of gone towards like custom Harley stuff, it seems. Whereas Florida, it still seems like there's a really strong backbone, because I think we have more antique riders here because of our weather. I mean, to ride in the Northeast, that means you really get what, 5 months of decent riding weather if you're lucky, 4 more realistically. If you count the rainy days and the really cold days and just the days you're simply too busy to commit to a motorcycle ride, Florida, it's like you can pretty much bank that you can get on any day. So that takes one joker out of the deck, and it gives you more of a reason to hop on something a little more unique and a little more unusual. You know, something smaller, lighter, more nimble, rather than committing to the ride for X amount of hours on some big hog.
Yeah. So where can folks find you?
Our Instagram is @BurnUpCompany. Our website is burnupcompany.com. Our address is 917 North Railroad Ave, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Anyone that's down in Florida, if you want to make a trek to West Palm Beach, not only can you get a chance to try out the Halcyon 250, but you've got such a lineup of bikes for sale. You do maintenance on bikes, so you service bikes. You've got a very talented staff, crew of people that are working on those, and then you have a collection that is incredible. What's great about the Janus is it's highly informed in its design, but not just styling, but like also the influence of the engineering. And I think it's so at home amongst these vintage bikes in your shop. But if people want to check out a nice collection, and even have a little bit of an education on what the history of motorcycles, your shop is the place to be here in West Palm Beach.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words, and I'm so grateful that you came all the way here from Indiana and not only brought us this beautiful machine, but made the time to come hang out and explore a little bit with me.
Yeah, Janus delivers bikes to your door. That's what we did here in Florida. We took a couple other bikes down with us, left on Thursday. Hit a major snowstorm in Kentucky and Tennessee, but got the bikes safely delivered this morning. Happy customer up in St. Augustine, and another customer down in Key West tomorrow morning. I stopped in Daytona Beach on the recommendation of the owner, where we dropped the bike this morning, and he said, "You're going to have a crowd of people," and I thought, all right, okay. But when I got down there were so many riders, and sure enough, I hopped on and went around the block, crossed the bridges, and I was flagged down in no time, and people wanted to find out what is this. And that's the fun, you know. It's the socializing around motorcycles that I find enjoyable. It's getting to share in the joy of the artistry of this bike. It's a good jumping off point for good conversation.
This little 250 motor runs so smooth. But the bike's so light it boogies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in top gear and I'm just cranking on it. It's giving me what I asked for.
Yeah, you can't beat it as far as, you know, a 250-pound bike. It's only got 14 horsepower, but that 14 horsepower is all the horsepower you need to joyride. And you also have such control over it at that weight that you can, like right here. I mean, you can
just to
really
be able to
whip
flick
it around these corners. And
right. Which is huge for me right now at this point in my life. You know, this is one of the first motorcycle rides I've been able to take since my injury.
Yeah.
So feeling confident on a motorcycle is everything for me right now. And this inspires confidence.
That confidence you're talking about is another big philosophy that we have at Janus, is that we want to expand the number of people that are enjoying riding motorcycles, to put it simply. So if what we're building is accessible, we're accomplishing our goal. If someone that's a new rider can hop on it and feel confident, that's where we want to be.
Right.
You know, we don't want to have there be such a high threshold for folks to learn how to ride and get involved. A lot of folks, you know, say, "Oh, I always dreamed about doing that. I always dreamed about being a motorcycle rider or getting my certification, getting my license." And with this bike, so many folks have found their first bike.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. And to ride something like this that you can turn a key and push a button and off you go, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, not only are folks first-time riders often that buy a Janus, but often they may have, they've ridden their entire life, and they're at a point where they would really like to have something, like you said, that is, easy for them to hop on and ride, and they don't feel like they gotta, struggle to pull it out of the garage. This is something that you can lift and move around really easily as one person. This really does feel like the perfect place to be riding a Janus.
Yeah, so I wanted to start you on probably what you consider a quicker road, and now we're kind of like a more local road. Yeah, it is fun to hop around out here.
Yeah.
This is the Breakers here on our right. That's probably the most famous hotel here. Super high end. Henry Flagler built that. You go in there, it's like the Shining Hotel inside. But actually functional. Big bar in there. And
so what kind of events do you do throughout the year that people could come get involved in, besides just showing up at your shop and getting the grand tour?
We try to do one event a month, whether that be a bikes and coffee, a ride, or some sort of bike night at a local bar establishment. So this month's kind of packed. There's a big event at the end of this month that's going to occupy the weekend of the 29th. That's the Dania Beach Show. So I don't want to pack anything onto that weekend, but the following weekend, early February, I think that's going to be a good time for a ride. We typically do those on a Sunday. Our bikes and coffees are usually on a Saturday. So I try to have something for everybody. Some people have their work schedule doesn't allow them to come on one of those days. So I try to keep it accessible. And our bike nights are usually a weekday night.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm looking forward to in 2022 is, if we can, it looks like we might be able to, have more social events with Janus. Have rides, have owners rallies, as much as we can. Just enjoy these bikes together. It's fun to be in a pack of Januses, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I think we're gonna ride here.
Nice.
Yeah, I would love to do that. How many customers do you think you have within a 50-mile radius of here?
Oh, that's a great question. I think we've sold over 1,000 Halcyon 250s. Last year we built over 300 bikes. We're growing at a rate that there's more and more out there, but right now we've got that core group of kind of early investors, folks that really jumped in with us early on, and they're all over the US. It's really widespread, thanks a lot to the our internet presence. It's been a while since we've done an owners rally, so it's time now. What I would love to hear from you in a week or two is that this bike is sold, and give me an excuse to get back in the Janus van and hit the road and get down here with some more bikes for you. It's
I don't think that's going to be hard to do.
No. So come check this bike out, and give me an excuse to bring down some others. I know we want to get a Griffin down here for you. We've got the new matte colors, the matte black and the matte olive green. It's something that if you haven't had a chance to ride a Janus, you got to try it out.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. It just feels extremely solid. Everything feels really tight. super smooth. It's beautiful. I mean, the craftsmanship is like absolutely astounding. I could never do something like that. I mean, just all the detail on them is like, I can't believe this didn't come out of a machine.
People ask, well, why don't you just, build a giant press and stamp out these fenders? And, economically, like, getting into a giant press is not cheap. And, and being able to, be trained and perfect the styling here, it's not an easy process by any means, but once you got the skill set, then you can start applying that to other parts of the bike and continue to develop new bikes with that same knowledge. We partnered with Joe Cooper out in Washington State from Cooper Smithing, and I always want to give him a plug because he's an artist. He's a master metalworker and a great guy. Yeah. What do you do when you want to get out of town and ride?
Great question. What I'm a fan of doing is I take one of the lightest bikes I have, I load it in the back of my truck, and I travel out of town with in the back of my truck. And when I get where I'm going, I'm on two wheels the whole time. So, Florida, it's like, as I'm sure you've experienced greatly, is it's like hours just to get anywhere. It's 5 hours to get out of the state from here. So before you start seeing some real terrain changes, you've really got to go up north and cross the state lines most of the time. But when I want to get out of town here, I've locally dipping down to Del Rey or going up to Jupiter, which is like, a half hour in each direction, north or south, are really fun. So it's a nice ride. It gets you into a different scene, a different group of places to hang out, bars, beaches, restaurants. This is the northern tip of the island here. That's the Singer Island Bridge. And that piece of land right there, just across the water, is Peanut Island. That was John F. Kennedy's secret bunker.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he has a whole secret bunker underground there.
Yeah, there are a few extra obstacles out here that I'm not as used to on Minnesota or Indiana Indiana roads.
Yeah, look out for rogue pineapples and coconuts and lizards. But like you said, the Halcyon 250, it's easy to dip and dive, and the suspension still takes it. Motorcycling, it's lifelong learning. There's so much history ingrained in motorcycle development and why they made it this year and this size and why. And that's, I think, my favorite part of it is learning about the bikes and everything from having to source the parts and look at the fiches and look at the diagrams and figure out what size and what year and et cetera, all the way up to, why did they paint it this color? Why is this piece of tape here? Why is all the weird little ins and outs of the production? And it's really a story of evolution on its own, isn't it?
Let's say a little bit of motorcycle archaeology.
Yeah. The fact that we get to play with such unique machinery day in, day out is like the dream come true. You never know what's going to be rolling in the door for service the next day, and we can take it on. Whether it's a 1930s exposed valve total loss motor, or we need to make some changes on a 2022. When I first started working on motorcycles, going from cars to motorcycles, I was like amazed how exposed everything was and how easy to access all the mechanical, all the electrical, it's all right here for me to see and touch. Whereas, in the cars, it was like you'd have to dig just to work on any one section of it. And I think it's inspiring when you can look at a machine, see all of its workings, and say, okay, I'm okay working on that.
A little bit of oil on the road there.
There's like, there must be trucks that just lose paint cans on that corner because it changes colors. It changes colors the whole time.
The chicane, a little bit of zigzag back there.
Yeah.
It's paint. That's hilarious.